Good morning. Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help y'all on your fitness journey. Let me go ahead and get myself live on Instagram. As always, patience, my YouTubers and my people listening on the replays on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Instagram fam. We are in the heat of summer. 4th of July weekend is behind us, and we're looking ahead at what might be remaining of the last of the summer vacations and celebrations. And I thought it was a great idea today to talk a little bit about some of the factors that we don't realize impact our results when we're looking to make changes to improve our health, our body composition, or chase fitness goals, or honestly, just to live a lifestyle that is in line with the person that we've become, because I think when it comes to developing habits and changing habits and becoming something that's more health focused, you do tend to change your priorities and you do tend to change your core values. When I was younger, before getting into fitness, my core values were like, hey, let's go out and eat and let's eat lots of food. And I didn't think about nutrition. It didn't matter to me. I was more about food is family, food is love. And that's what I did. I didn't care about working out, but now working out is a priority in my life. Eating healthy is a priority in my life. And if you're somebody who does value those things, or you're somebody that's trying to make changes because you're unhappy with how you look and feel, I want to normalize that you're going to be different. You are going to be the minority in this world. You are becoming something that the majority of people don't achieve. The majority of America, the majority of this world is overweight, obese, and unhealthy. And not even just from a weight perspective, but from a metabolic perspective, from all of the other things going on in their lives. And if you're somebody that wants to live healthier and be happier because you don't want to feel like shit anymore, you're going to make changes to your lifestyle. And that's not always going to be received the way that you want it to. And it can also feel very hard in the beginning. So today I want to talk about two main topics. One is making the decision to actually take yourself seriously and change the habits that you have that have been holding you back. But two, understanding a little bit more about the fit shaming and the health shaming that is very normal when you do make those changes, and that it's okay to accept that not everybody is going to understand what is going on in your head and why these things matter to you. So if you get any resonation out of this episode, or you're struggling with this yourself, I would love for you to put some thoughts out there, because I know that right now we're in the heat of the summertime when barbecues and social things and family stuff and vacations and all that stuff is part of the norm. And it's not as easy to be dialed in when everybody else around you doesn't care. So if you're somebody that's trying to lose body fat and you're working with a coach, or you're not working with your coach, you're doing it on your own, and you're really trying to stay consistent and you don't know how to, I'm also going to hopefully give you some pointers today that will help you a little bit in these situations, because it's kind of knowing what actually matters. Like what actually does it look like to have balance and still be consistent and all of that stuff. So if this resonates with you, if you've got questions, if you got struggles about it, put it up. A little bit more of a tactical podcast episode today. So first and foremost, let's talk about making that decision. You've made the decision. You know that the habits that you have are not giving you the happiness, the confidence, the energy, the life you want to live. Maybe you just know that you are, obviously you're living life just kind of like nutrition has just become something that's an afterthought. Grabbing takeout, you feel bloated, you feel heavy, you feel puffy. You looked at photos of yourself this weekend in 4th of July and you were like, oh my God, I look like crap. Or maybe you already started your journey and you're like, I'm making these changes, but it feels really hard. I want to start by saying, like, you should be really freaking proud. Like, if you're acknowledging and you're just aware, or you've already acknowledged and you've started to make changes, be fucking proud, because this is something that a lot of people think about, but don't actually do anything about. And action is what drives a reaction, right? So we need to get that action to happen. And if you're somebody right now that's like, yeah, I know I need to make changes, and you're waiting for the perfect time because you feel like your social life is maybe like a big piece of your life right now, now is the perfect time to take action. Because in order for you to change the product, You have to change the way you react in these situations because your social life isn't going anywhere. You're not going to divorce your family members, right? Like we have these people in our lives for the rest of our lives. We're going to be confronted with these situations for the rest of our lives. So we need to know how to navigate through them. That is what it truly takes to make a transformation that actually lasts. Anybody can be like, I'm on the 75 hard, and that could be their excuse for eating healthy. But what about after the 75 hard? That's just one example I gave. It's very easy to be dialed in if you're only focused on living in a bubble. And I want to give you guys more of the big picture stuff, which is like getting to a goal only to be miserable living there is not the goal. That's when you're not going to maintain it. And that's why this is so important. So if you've made those decisions and now you're like, I'm really like trying to be more aware, I know I want to make changes. Even if you haven't jumped in yet, you like know that you're like, okay, I know it's time to change. I want to help you understand that this is something that's going to happen if it isn't already happening to you. Okay. So in these initial few weeks, months, even the first few years of making those decisions to start to make changes to how you eat in social situations or how what you prioritize on vacation. Maybe you're somebody that's like, I want to go work out in the morning. You're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to get a lot of pushback from people in your lives. You're going to have some people that are going to be rooting for you. Like, oh my God, go get it. That's discipline. I wish I had that kind of discipline. And then you're going to have the other school of people that are going to be like, you're on a diet again. Oh, come on, live a little. You're on vacation. Why does this matter? Like, come on, you're being so restrictive. You're doing all of these things because they don't understand the value in what you're doing. They don't understand where you're coming from. They don't know the emotional pain you've been living in and why this actually is helping you feel better. Think about it this way. If you guys were removed from the social situation and you were doing all of the things that you were committed to, you likely feel really fucking good. You're like, man, I am like crushing it in the gym. I have energy. I'm getting enough sleep. Like I'm not hungry all the time. My body feels good. I don't feel bloated. But then when you get into these situations and everybody else around you is giving you judgment or pushback about things, it makes you second guess all the things that are making you feel good. And now you feel like you have to conform to what they're doing because of that. Or maybe you're like, you know what? Like, I don't want to be that odd person out. Okay. You are going to be the odd person out. I want to normalize this. You are going to sometimes be the person at the table that when everybody else is eating pizza, you're like, no, thank you. I think I'm going to get the salad and the grilled chicken today. That's not restriction. That is a decision for your goals. Now, when I'm saying this, I also know there's a whole school of people out there, and maybe you're one of them, that doesn't know what balance looks like. And for you, you're either all in or all out and don't know what it looks like to be flexible. Maybe you're somebody that you get into these, these modes where you're like, I'm all in, but you don't know how to relax a little bit in these situations. This is something else that you want to be able to navigate around is, okay, I can still be flexible. I can have a little bit of the thing if I choose to, and know that that's part of the plan. That's okay too. But what I will say is this: stress around eating in this phase is actually a sign of progress. If you are now being more aware and intentional of what you're eating when you're eating socially, not just at home, this is a sign of somebody who is making progress in their journey because you recognize that in the past, this is likely where you would veer wrong, right? So whether you're intentionally trying to learn how to be a little bit more flexible while practicing some structure, or you're like, no, like I have literally a social thing going on every day this week. I want to pick and choose my battles. And that means that some nights you're choosing the grilled chicken and the salad, regardless. Like this is a sign of progress. If you're feeling a level of stress and anxiety around it, join the club. It is normal. It is normal to experience these stressors when you are trying to make changes. There is nothing wrong with this. So if you think that you're going to make changes and not experience these stressful situations, you are wrong. You are living in a dream world. It's just part of change. Change is not comfortable. But those changes that are uncomfortable are the ones that are bringing the changes that you want. Okay, but again, obviously, there's balance in mind here. There's flexibility in mind here. But it's really important for me to touch on that. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there. Now, in the moment, something else that I wrote down, because I have some notes here that I'm looking over, is when you're first making these decisions to change, you might have some feelings of what I would like to call, without a better term, depression. It almost feels like you're losing a piece of you. You feel like, man, you used to be this person that would like go out and indulge and drink and you do all this free stuff. And now you kind of feel like you're not the same. Like you're not the same because you're not. Like you are truly leaving behind a piece of your identity that shifted the body composition, the health, and the body you have right now is the result of maybe what you've done in the past. And it is what you've done in the past. And you're letting go of a piece of that to become something different. It's why when I talk about making changes, you are not going to be the same person on the other side of your journey than you are right now. And when I say that, you are all making changes daily. Every little change is stacking change. So maybe you're somebody that works out already. You work out 5 to 6 days a week and you're crushing it in the gym, but you know the nutrition is where you struggle. Like you've already made one change. You're consistent in the gym. The next change is like the nutrition piece, right? Like we're all chameleons. We're going to just continue to change. I shouldn't say chameleons because we don't want to always conform to everybody else around us. We're all changing. Like, I guess, I don't know. I'm not going to find another analogy right now because that's just not what I'm going to do. You got my point though, but we're all evolving. We're all changing. So you can become the product of your environment or you can be the leader of it. So you might need to be able to become somebody who becomes a leader in your environment. So for instance, if I was sitting at a dinner table and my family is all sitting around me and none of them are very health focused, none of them work out, and they now know my personality isn't somebody who's going to go out and smash a bunch of high calorie processed food. They know that about me. Do they say anything to me about it anymore? No. When I first made changes, was it very apparent that I was making big changes? Yes. Did I get comments? Absolutely. I still get comments from people that don't see me all the time. I get comments now because I'm the nutrition coach, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you have to recognize that, like, you don't want to become the product of your environment. You want to stand out from your environment. You want to be different. You don't need to be what everybody else is. It's not your responsibility to get other people to understand why something matters to you. It has to matter enough to you for you to be okay with being different. And that means that you're going to have to be okay with that piece of you that you might have identified with for so long leaving. I always drink alcohol when I go out to eat. Well, maybe you no longer drink alcohol when you go out to eat. Like, that's a decision to make. And guess what? Tomorrow morning, you're like, wow, I can't believe I went out to eat and didn't drink alcohol. And I don't feel changed by it in a negative way. I feel pretty good about it, especially because now I'm getting leaner. Like, it's knowing that like those changes feel hard in the moment. So the other thing about this is understanding that it's not easy to make change when you feel like you're the only person at the table making changes. So this is like, I mean, when nobody else around you gets it, right? You feel like you're the odd man out. I want to start by telling you this, okay? And this is really, really important. You might be the only person at your table doing the things that you're doing. Everybody else is eating freely. Everybody else is snacking on whatever they want. They don't give a shit, right? But that does not mean that you are the only person sitting at a table being the only person doing what you are doing. There is a whole bunch of people in this world that are 1 of 10 at the table making the right decisions for themselves. And to add to that, sometimes you might look around the table and you'll see somebody that, like, it seems like they really don't have to care about what they're eating, right? They look good. They honestly, you know them for a while. They always have energy. They're always happy. They're performing well in the gym or whatever. And they just seem to be able to eat freely and not really care. You are only with that person for that meal. You don't know what they're doing the other 5 to 7 days of the week, right? So like we have to realize that when we're in these situations, we can't compare ourselves only to what's around us. We have to look outside of the spectrum of what's right in front of us and think about what might be going on in all of their heads and looking at all of the other tables in the room and know that there's other people just like you out there that are going to be singled out. You have to be completely confident in what you are doing for you. When I make food decisions, whether I choose to indulge in something or not, it's a choice that is based on my needs. You know, if I decided to go get a donut today, it's because I want to have a donut, not because somebody else is going to get donuts and I should go tag along with them because I want to make them feel good about getting the donut. No, I want the donut. I'm having the donut because I want the donut. If I don't go out, if I go out with somebody because they want to go get something and I decide that I don't want to have pizza or whatever it is, I'm going to choose what I want. It's a personal choice for me based on what I need for my specific goals in that moment. And sometimes my goals are, I just want to be able to enjoy the food. Other times, like, you know what? I don't really want to feel like shit tomorrow, or I am trying to watch my calories because I'm in a fat loss phase or whatever it is, right? Like in a fat loss phase, I am way more intentional about where I'm spending my calories because I don't want to be hungry. I would much rather know how I'm going to feel after eating a meal. And the best way to get predictability in that is by following the meals that I eat the majority of the time. I try and stick to my food the majority of the time in the fat loss phase. Okay. So now let's talk about some strategies here for those of you guys. Because if you are in the heat of the summer and you have more pool days with the kids, you know, you're doing a lot more, just like, I want to call it like less structured busyness. You know, you're just vacationing, you're, you know, maybe doing some Airbnbs, you're doing more beach days and all that stuff. But that lack of structure creates a lot more stress around food because it's not as simple as like you're in the office, you're heating up your food in the microwave and you're going home for dinner. Like it's long days, it's random stuff throughout the day. And I want to give you guys a couple of strategies here that are going to help you. All right. Number one, and this is before I get into part 2 of this topic, which is going to help me segue into that. You want to have a plan, even if that plan is a plan B. So let's just say you're going to a social thing. You're not quite sure what's going to be there. You might want to have the food there, but you also want to be able to have options in case nothing there looks like it's going to be a good fit for you. Pack something. Pack something, even if it requires you an extra 10 minutes to throw a little cooler bag together. Leave it in your car. You don't have to bring it in. But now you have a plan B so that when you get there, you can make the decision. Like, is anything here really looking good? And if it doesn't, go out to your car, grab your cooler, grab whatever it is, and bring it in. Nothing wrong with bringing your own food to any kind of a situation like that. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. If you feel bad about that, think of it this way. If you had a food allergy or, you know, whatever, you were on a special diet because of a health reason, right? You would not judge somebody for doing that, right? You can do the exact same thing just because you prefer not to eat the food that's being served. If you decide that you want to eat the food that's being served, that's also okay. And this is where some of you guys might need to learn how to be more flexible with yourself. It's not all in or all out. It's not diet food and then non-diet food. It's all food is your diet. Maybe it's learning how to, okay, I'm not going to be randomly snacking on things. I'm going to actually just plate myself. That might not be what other people are doing, but that's a step that you're doing to allow yourself to enjoy the situation while staying on track. I'm putting my plate together. Maybe I'm checking the nutrition facts of it so I have an idea of what I'm consuming. Hell, maybe I'm even logging it in MyFitnessPal while I'm eating it and not worrying about what anybody else at the table is going to say. Because guess what? You're on track with your goals while enjoying the food that you want to be consuming. Who gives a shit what somebody else says about, like, what are you doing? You're logging your food in MyFitnessPal? Oh, you're so disciplined. We're going to talk about that next, okay? So packing a second, like a plan B. Plating yourself is another strategy. So don't just grabbing random things. And not being afraid to have a couple of days a week where maybe your nutrition is subpar, right? So like if you know that you have something going on Friday. Like for instance, maybe you're going to an amusement park, okay? And you want to be able to just go to the park and not think about it. That one day, you eating mindfully, watching portions, not stressing too much about anything else but that is totally okay. Like that's part of the plan. It's knowing that if you have a lot of those days, they're going to add up. So you have to pick and choose those days. Again, making these decisions to actually stress about nutrition is a sign of growth. I want to encourage you to listen to that again, because that is the key to you making changes that are actually going to stick. You have to recognize that stress is part of growth. You cannot grow if you're not willing to stress about something, hands down. Okay, so mindset today. Now, I could keep giving you guys strategies in terms of like, what to do about it. So here's one third strategy is, let's just say, I like this strategy a lot. You decided that you were going to go to a party and you were going to stick to your plan, but like you got there and you're like, you know what, I really want to be able to indulge a little bit. You can actually, if you are tracking your food, understand how you don't have to eat the same amount of calories every single day. So let's just say, you ended up, 500 or 600 calories over on a Saturday afternoon. You can simply like pull back some calories the next morning and kind of shift calorie cycling a little bit to where you're actually just essentially looking at your calorie budget over the course of 3 or 4 days, rather than looking at it like I screwed up for one day. And that can help you stay on track with your fat loss goals. And I think another thing here to realize is that fat loss is a temporary process. So it's also looking at where you're at in your journey. And if you've been in a fat loss phase for a long time, taking a little bit of a break and giving yourself an opportunity to practice like maintenance habits, which is what we're talking about here, like being flexible, not feeling so stressed, but being stressed, right? It's okay to take a little break from fat loss, focusing on maintenance, focusing on not being so dialed in, and then getting back into fat loss. But you have to look at your history. Like if you've been telling yourself you're that all year, is that you think you're in fat loss, but you haven't really lost any weight, you're not really in fat loss. You're not really in fat loss, right? You're like trying to be in fat loss, but you really haven't been. So sometimes you don't want to do that. But if you are somebody that's like, man, I've already lost 25 pounds, maybe I should like take a little break this month and be okay with like just maintaining and learning what that looks like. So you can kind of look at that. But again, this goes into still knowing that there's going to be a level of structure and awareness that creates maintainable results. You're still going to have to be mindful of things. You just don't need to be beating yourself up over every single social meal. Now, the reason I really want to talk about this is because I did have a couple of clients that came to mind that really struggled with this a little bit. One of them initially, her job is just, she's constantly traveling, and her job in particular is based around a lot of social meals, like a lot of entertaining, a lot of drinking and schmoozing and all that kind of stuff with clients. And she was a little nervous about how she was going to be able to do this. Also, by the way, all of these situations are typically travel based. And she was a little nervous about it because this is her life. She literally travels probably 3 or 4 times each month, sometimes for business, sometimes for pleasure. But learning how to be flexible yet structured has helped her understand that she can actually make progress while still being a part of these opportunities. She isn't acting the same way that she used to act, but she's still enjoying herself. She still has wine. She still enjoys the foods that she wants to enjoy, but she's learned how to find balance in that. That wasn't easy in the beginning, but it's gotten a lot easier for her over time. And now we're about, I guess we're going on, it'll be a year in October. And it's awesome watching her transformation throughout all of this. It makes me so happy when I see people not just transforming their body, but like looking at these things that used to hold them back. And now they're like, it's getting easy. And then the second one that came to mind is one of my clients who like recently, she's really in the beginning phases of struggling with this. And a lot of weekends, it's like there's barbecues and there's church stuff and this and that. And I feel like everybody else is just like eating whatever they want. And I feel singled out. And it's like important for somebody like this to know, like, be proud, like be freaking proud, because you are going to become a different person for this. And if you keep doing what everybody else is doing, you're going to keep getting what you currently were getting. And so for her, it's really building that awareness around portions so that she can enjoy those foods, but also knowing that it's okay to come over to the dark side of those of us who actually care about what's going in our body. So you can care about what's going on in your body, you can enjoy it too, right? So we want to find that balance. Now, I want to segue this a little bit into what the real problem I feel like is with this entire situation. There's a lot of talk out there about like being confident in your body, like body positivity, whatever size, whatever. I've got a lot of thoughts about that. And I understand why it came about, because most people are entirely too hard on themselves and, spending years disordered eating patterns, starving themselves, crushing themselves with cardio, binging and restricting and all of that stuff. Right. And I think that what, people are trying to portray is like, you just need to be happy first. But that doesn't mean that you should not be looking to change. And this is not the topic of today. Okay. I'm going to save body positivity for another topic or another episode. But what I want to talk about is a lot of these, I don't even want to call them, because I see it everywhere, whether it's coaches or doctors or therapists, are like, they're also doing the exact same thing to those people, those of you who are like really trying to make positive changes in your life, and shaming you for doing the right things, like literally shaming you for being somebody who cares about your food, shaming you for being somebody who wants to get up before everybody else comes up on vacation to go for a run or hit the gym, shaming you for caring about your health and fitness, because there are people that live in extremes, and you don't have to live in extremes. Everything that I'm talking about today is not, I didn't say don't eat the pizza or don't eat the donut. I said, make the choice based on what your body wants most and what you need most in that moment. Some people need more structure. Some people need a little bit less. Okay. But there's a whole school of people shaming you. You're going to get a lot of shame. When you start to become somebody who actually cares about your body, people are not going to be happy about that. Now, there's going to be some people that are happy for you. But there's a lot of people that have their own insecurities and their own self-doubt and their own thoughts about things and their own stories in their heads, and they portray that on you. And then you start second guessing everything that you're doing. You're going to get comments from others. You're going to get people asking you, oh, what are you doing? Are you on a diet? Are you tracking your food? Why are you tracking your food? Why are you not eating this? Oh, I forgot. You're being healthy. Okay. You're going to get all of that stuff. You know what else you're going to get? You're going to get to a point where you've changed and now you've eaten healthy for so long, and you go out and you decide that you want to have the pizza. And then people are going to say, I can't believe you're eating that. I get that all the time. I can't believe you're eating that. You're going to eat all that food? Yes, I'm going to eat all that fucking food. There's always shaming around, and it's okay for people to shame you for being healthy, but it's not okay for somebody to be shamed for being overweight or eating shitty food or drinking themselves drunk. Like, that's okay to do, and don't shame those people because they're sensitive. But the people that actually bust their ass because we're not as sensitive, that we don't have feelings too, like, you have feelings too. You're going to get comments. You're going to get a lot of comments from people that are not going to be on board with what you're doing. They're going to make you think that you're being restrictive and you're being obsessive and all that stuff. You have to have confidence in yourself that what you're doing is in line with the life that you want, right? I have full confidence in what I do in my life. I don't need anybody else's approval in what I'm doing for me. I do it for me only, nobody else. So you have to have that kind of confidence. You're also going to feel in these situations, like when you are being shamed, that you're doing something wrong and that you should be doing what everybody else around you is doing. And that is not the case. You do not need to be worried about appeasing other people just because they don't accept your changes. This is really hard in a lot of families because food in a lot of families is a place of connection. It's a place of culture. It's a place of just everything, right? And I'm not telling you to abandon your cultural, practices or anything like that, right? Meals are part of that, but it's also knowing that it's okay to be okay speaking up for your needs. You are going to have to probably have some difficult conversations with family members if you truly know that the nutrition practices that you're doing are not serving you for your goals. And that's a whole nother story. Sometimes it's like, okay, this person just needs to understand how to make this work into the plan. Other times, no, those types of practices are likely needing to change, right? If every single dinner is a 5-course meal with dessert and this and that, and you're like, I'm actually trying to lose a little bit of weight. Okay, cutting back on those things is okay. But I also think that there's going to be a time that people feel this. Well, I guess I should say that what I'm talking about is more so the normal day-to-day stuff. I want clients to feel that it's okay to have special. In fact, I have a lot of clients that practice the Sabbath day. And on the Sabbath day, there's no electronics. And obviously it's a time, for reflection and to be with family. So their meals are going to be a little bit off that day. That happens every single week. And guess what? We work it into the plan, right? So it's knowing that there's some things that we don't touch. But there's other days where it's okay when grandpa brings you, macaroni and cheese. You're like, I really don't want to eat that right now. Those are boundaries that you need to set with your family. Okay. Even if you're a mom and you're cooking for your whole family, it's okay to set boundaries on what you're consuming. If you are the one that's in charge of the cooking and you're trying to eat healthier and you're prioritizing healthier foods, that's a good thing. You can't expect everybody else around you to want to change, but if they do, that's great. But know that you're also going to get comments from your family, even your kids. Mom, why aren't you eating this? You're going to need to explain to them, hey, I really would love for you to start eating more of this kind of stuff, but I don't want to make you make these changes. I'm eating these things because they're higher in protein, and this is what my body needs. I'm eating these things because they're higher in fiber. I would prefer to eat this. You have to be able to speak up for things in a way that feels authentic and natural. And those are the things that it's not mommy's on a diet. It's not I'm trying to lose weight. It's no, this is the things that I want to be eating. Just well, why don't you have this instead? It's inviting other people in, but not expecting everybody else to be receptive. Okay. Because this is going to be a thing that you're going to have to deal with for a long time. I think the main thing here from all of this is that you have to expect fit shaming, health shaming. You have to be okay with setting boundaries and knowing that those difficult conversations don't need to be confrontational. They can simply be a conversation of you explaining to people, your family, your friends, whatever, why this matters to you. And I'll be honest, the truth is a lot of people want to see you fail. It's the truth. A lot of people would much rather see somebody fail than be successful because they want to be successful and they keep failing. And that's very hard. Okay. So you have to recognize that you're going to have to be okay with being different. You don't have to shrink yourself to make other people more comfortable. It's not your responsibility. Okay. It's okay to want more for yourself than what other people's want of themselves. I really want you to understand that you are not the only person in this world that is struggling with this. This is something that is more common than you know. And the healthier you become, the more you value your health, the more you will experience it. Okay. You will feel sometimes isolated from other people because they won't relate to you. And this is why it's so important to find communities of people that do value the same things that you are. Stay in alignment with people that understand what you're going through and are experiencing the same things. Don't worry about other people's goals. Worry about your own goals, not other people's expectations. And I think the final thought about this is that probably one of the main things that people struggle with is knowing the difference between being intentional and being obsessive. Okay. There's a very different way to live your life. Somebody who is obsessed is literally not going to stop thinking about what they're doing 24/7. Never going to let their guard down, never going to enjoy a meal, but they're going to feel obsessed. You know, if you feel obsessed. And maybe you're somebody who is obsessed, but you also feel like that's the only way you can achieve the goals you have for yourself, is to stay in this place of what I like to call it's literally a self-imposed prison. Like, this is the only way I can live in order to get to this goal, or in order to stay in this place. You don't have to live that way. You can build a little bit more flexibility in, but you're still going to be different than the majority of people. Vice versa, rather than obsession, I want you guys to think about being more intentional. And intentional in the beginning, if you aren't used to being intentional, is going to require you to feel like you're thinking about things a lot more than you ever had before in the past, because you're intentionally making changes. It's going to feel hard. That is not obsession. That is being intentional. You are being mindful. You are building manageable stressors into your nutrition habit changes so that you can make sustainable changes to your body composition, your health, or to improve your performance. Intentional is important. In fact, a lot of people talk about intuitive eating. Nobody talks enough about intentional eating. Intentional eating is probably more important for all of you guys to understand than intuitive eating, because intentional eating makes intuitive eating happen. Without intentional eating, intuitive eating is going to lead you down the path to nowhere, right? Intentionally, if all I've eaten for breakfast every single day for the last 20 years was a donut and a coffee, intuitively, my body's going to crave a donut and a coffee every single morning. But when I intentionally change that, over time, the changes become more intuitive. Okay, so a little bit more of a tangent here, but I just thought this would be really important to talk about, because I know that we're in the heat of summer, and I want you guys to feel like you're not sabotaging yourself by enjoying a little bit of food here and there. You're also not being freaking square by sticking to your nutrition plan because you feel good about it. Like, we got to normalize being okay with being healthy, as making our choices about being healthy and happy, and not feeling restricted by them, not feeling like we have to conform to what everybody else is doing. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Let me just pop over into the comments here. A lot of people watching, just kind of looking back. Because my intuition says I need a whole sleeve of Thin Mints. Abso-fucking-lutely. I will be honest. Oh man, I could go down the rabbit hole, Jenny, on that one, because my intention tells me that when I have Oreos, 2 is definitely not a serving. 4 to 6 is definitely going to be a little bit more likely. But yes, intention is everything. And that's why for me, Oreos are my thing. Yes, I have got an Oreo. I'm on an Oreo kick right now. And the only way that I can moderate my Oreos, because I could easily eat a sleeve of Oreos, is I will take 4 Oreos, not just 2, and I put them in my Ninja Creamy. And that's just it's the perfect combination for me. It gives me a little bit more volume. It makes it like a cookies and cream. But yes, Jenny, that is 100%. I love that. Just looking back at some of the comments here. Let me go over to YouTube. Good morning, Miss Jody. I love that you have been consistent with meals, with everything. Family support is very important. This is something else that I would really suggest you guys to consider, Jody and anybody else. A lot of people, this is not today's topic, are very consistent with meals on repeat, but they don't know how to change meals when they're not on repeat. So like, the meals on repeat aren't the problem. It's when husband calls and says, hey, we're going to go out to dinner tonight. And you're like, okay, can you pivot and make a decision in that moment that replicates something similar to your meal on repeat? Because those are the things that people don't think about. The meals on repeat are the easy part. It's the meals that aren't on repeat that people normally need more help with. Just something to consider, Miss Jody. I'm just going to look over. Does anybody have any more questions or anything? Good morning, Jay Birch. I'm looking to see who else is on here. Anybody else have any questions? Nutrition related? Training related? Summer related? CrossFit related? Life related? All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I am going to hop off, and that's pretty much it. If you guys got any value out of this episode, shoot me a message. If there's anything on here that really hit home for you, I would love to hear it. I know for me, the fit shaming thing was something that I dealt with for a long time. The guilt around like how other people were going to perceive me at a restaurant and stuff like that. You're so welcome, Jenny. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I'm always here for guidance, guys. If you need anything, shoot me a message, and I will talk to you guys all on the next episode. Bye.